Hello, 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 everybody. Getting the stream warmed up here. Getting it to take on. There it is, popping up on YouTube Live. So, looks like we're live and ready to go. And that being said, let me punch some things together here. We got to make our chat viewable here. In case any of you show up and want to say hello. Not a lesson to request anything, because as you see from the title, we've got something to talk about today, something I want to explain. Robbery, Assault and Battery from Genesis. Yeah, let's tackle a Genesis solo, simply because this song is very, very complex, much more than I could pretty much do for you guys today here on Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Methods, but the solo isn't too bad. It's actually very accessible, even I think for a beginner, and it's quick. Need some fast thinking. You keep you on your toes, give you some good practice that way, and it changes keys, as the title says. It changes keys, which I think is really cool. Especially then, since the method I mostly teach and how I got into music theory was learning modes and music where you'll stay in one key, and as you get good at that, you want more. You hear other solos that appear to be not staying statically in one key, and you wonder how the hell does it even work. And excuse me, we'll get some clues about that today with this solo from Genesis off the Trick of the Tail album. A couple other things before we begin. I imagine that I'm going to I'll probably bump up some parts of the song so we can hear it. And then I'll probably get this video demonetized, because that's kind of how YouTube rolls with copyright infringements and stuff like that. So, also I have my dryer going in the background. Yeah, behind that curtain there's a dryer, because I live in a studio apartment. And if that's something you can hear, I don't think it's audible, but if it's something that you find is disrupting the lesson, let me know that that was going on. But I think we got voice, check 1, 2, and guitar. So yeah, let me know too how the levels are. If my voice and the guitar are reasonably close. One thing I always hate is when I'm trying to watch a video. A lot of times it's late at night, and I don't want to annoy the neighbors, and anxiously waiting for them to play the guitar part, and it just blasts. And then as soon as that's done, I gotta turn the volume back up to hear the voice again. So that always annoys me. Let me know if I'm being annoying. I probably am. But I mean, if the volume is got a big change. So let's get into the solo here. Now, first of all, I wanted to get into I wanted to explain the whole song. Actually, before I even tell you this, let me tell you this. Just the other day, I was thinking about a solo, like something new to play, and all of a sudden that song, I must have heard it or something, and that song came into my mind. I said, oh yeah. And I thought, maybe, did I learn that at one time? I'm like, I think I did. So I picked up my guitar and I tried to play it, and I couldn't remember the hell out of it. I was like, I had no idea. So I went and searched online, Robbery Assault and Battery guitar solo. And guess what came up? A video that I made where I play the solo. And it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I totally blanked out and couldn't remember the solo. So I think the lesson there is, learning other people's solos is great, but you'll end up forgetting them. You really just want to learn to make your own music, right? There's been a ton of solos I've totally practiced for weeks and weeks, got great at, like Kid Charlemagne. I had that thing down pat. I probably couldn't even play it today. What I do is I don't worry about it. I forget them, because once I've learned them, I'll pick them up pretty fast if I want to learn them again. But it is kind of interesting going back after 3 years and being like, wow, I totally forgot everything I spent 3 weeks on. So that being said, maybe I'll link to me playing that on my guitar. I watched the video and I noticed that guitar must have been tuned, and that is the one I keep in my quote-unquote Van Halen tuning, which is a half step lower, E-flat tuning, so everything appears to be a fret lower confusing the hell out of people. So, that being said, maybe I'll link to that, but whatever, it'll be inconsequential. I noticed that, so I had this other video with the same title, and it was at 8 minutes. See, my solo was 45 minutes. I clicked on that, I watched myself play the solo, and I thought, oh, interesting. And then there was one for 8 minutes. I thought, oh, okay, I must have made a lesson for this song, because it was 8 minutes, so I must have been talking about it. Well, what happens with these YouTube videos is if you don't change the title before you start the video, it basically picks up the last title you used. So it was entitled Robbery, Assault and Battery Guitar Solo, and I was totally rambling on about something, and worse yet, I didn't even get to the point of what I was talking about on that video, so I totally erase that video. And it turns out I don't have what I thought anything about Robbery, Assault and Battery. So I thought, awesome, because I was just figuring it out as I figured it out again the other day. I realized, because now I know so much more about music, I'm like, oh, cool, no wonder I was confused and didn't know what this thing is doing. I could clearly see how it totally changed keys. And now that I was, just like the couple days ago, I talked about chord tones, I was looking at it in reference to chord tones, and it totally made sense to me. What do you know? So, if a guitar solo doesn't make sense to you, that's probably because it's the dude's jamming chord tones, thinking chord tones as he's jamming, like Kid Charlemagne, for example. And if you can totally rip through a whole solo in one key, it's probably not chord tones, it's just a jam over one key. So, that being said, let's show you this different key change stuff. I was going to start, now this is what I was going to start saying a few minutes ago when I started rambling. I was going to start with the beginning of the video and start like explain the whole thing in music theory, but man, let me tell you, man, this song is all over the place. It's probably not totally all over the place, and it's probably pretty explainable, but there was a lot to grasp for any kind of beginner, and it starts out in some kind of like it's like F Dorian or F Lydian kind of sound. That's like F pentatonic right there. Which is not anywhere where the solo is, but the solo is pretty easy, but it sounds really cool. Let's hear it really quick. This is the part where we get demonetized. Bumping up another screen here. Ooh, this is going to be different. Let's see this. Can I do it? Oh, yeah, here we go. All right, so here is right where the solo starts. We're just going to be like blasting into the middle of the song. And I'm going to tell you right now, the solo is here. Before I even play it, let's draw a framework. Where is this solo happening? So the first thing I realized is this. I found our square. Our square is here. The first part of the solo is dealing with this scale. It goes from... All right. Box, 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 box. What do you recognize from this? Well, there's our box pattern, and this is always our root note. So what note is that? That is C. So we are in the key of C and using this pattern right here. Pretty typical box, you probably all know. Yeah, so that's where we start. It's in this box, and we when it changes keys, it's still using this framework, just the gut notes change. And basically, maybe I'll write it right above it. So I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but I don't know if it'll even... Oh, and I got to fix this blurring camera, so let me get that done right away here. Sorry for all these interruptions, folks. I like to get right to the point when I can. And there's no script for this video either. I'm just kind of winging it, so that's why they get a little rambly here. The song, you can think of it as chord tones, but it does... you could also think, like, what is the major framework that's being used while it changes keys? And this is it right here. We're going to draw another pentatonic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's move our box shape in that pentatonic down here to what we might know. By the way, like, this could be called the Dorian box, because here's a C note again. So this is, the box is starting on the number 2 of the scale, and we know 2 is always Dorian. So like Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian. Anyways, so I'm drawing this right over. So if you can imagine, superimpose this over that, you can see that the outer framework is the same. Let's color those notes in. So these notes always stay the same as the notes below. In the same place, starting over that, the D note. However, this is where it changes. This and, where's the other two? That would be up here. The box changes positions. Kind of cool, huh? And I'll show you some deep details on what's on the inner workings of how it's all going on. So first of all, let's hear the solo as it's played on the recording. Here we go. Here it comes. Minor, back to major, but a different chord. Minor, sounds pretty complex and very dramatic and dreamy, everything you know from Genesis. And so let's talk about that a little bit. Well, I'll show you something here. Right there, you hear these notes. We have a little D-shaped triad. You know that D chord that's down here? We have the same shape of notes being played right up here, starting on the G. G, C, E. So we got G, C, E, da, 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 da. Okay? Now, let's take a look at that G, C, E real quick. And where is that coming from? Here's the deal. I knew those were chord tones, and all it took for me to do is move that back down into where all the basic chords start, down in this part of the neck. This part down here, let's see. Open strings, and then the first fret on the B string there. What is the bottom? That's the bottom of a chord, but what chord? Well, I know that is the bottom of a C major chord. Sorry for all the distortion, but I got it kind of set for here, actually. Okay, so for this part, we'll just spare you the constant distortion. Volume's a little lower on that setting, but C. And if you play that along with that part, it sounds like it's the background chord, although the chords that are going on, that keyboard is just massively layering tones. There's just a wall of chord there in the background, oohing and ahhing out of that keyboard, so it's kind of hard to totally picture like that's probably a, whatever got a spelling that guys like Adam Neely and Rick Beato will know off the top of their heads, and I've got no fucking clue about because, you know, hey, we're just beginners here on this channel, right? I mean, sort of beginners, kind of, right? Na 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 na. We're getting somewhere, huh? So there's that C major chord to start with, and if we play that right in the beginning, let's check it out. Let me get this to bump back just right. 418, 417, I think will be good. I don't know if you heard me over the music there, but the C chord fit really well on the one beat of the guitar solo. So let's hear that bad man again, which is going, that's in some other key. Now, I said some other key. Look, I'm not totally sure. That could be in C minor. I haven't studied, and my ear is not telling me because, you know, this isn't basic music. They've done their best to disguise. I mean, or else it would just sound like basic stuff that you didn't buy. This was the 1970s, and these guys needed to kick ass against theory giants like Steely Dan and Yes, and, you know, everybody was kicking ass in the 70s. But anyways, that's beside the point. Okay, so back to the point here. 415. Let's press play. Here we go. All right. Now, before we get into, I'm gonna get ahead of myself, but let's. It plays that C major chord, and you hear these notes right here. G, C, E, da 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 da. Well, let's look at what he chose to do right there in the beginning. He really outlined a C major chord, and it's disguised because he started on the 5th instead of the 1, which starting on a 1's kind of boring. Starting on a 5 is a little bit more exciting, and he's knocking out chord tones, so he's right in the pocket of the chord right there, and you know, it just didn't take long because you go G, C, E, and you're like, well, that chord probably spells out something, but something sounds familiar about it. Then you go, oh, wait a minute, C, E, G. The triad of C, right? C, E, G is a C major chord. So that's right on C major. And this, as we said, is the C major scale. What are the rest of the notes? This part here, he goes. Let me put that right in the camera for you guys. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. What I just played was starting here. This. So, what are those? What do we got? F. We got a B, and we got the D. And he's almost targeting that D. So it's like it almost went na 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 na. You could almost think that there's he's implying the D minor right there, the 2 chord. Na 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 na. Now, so we got the first part right there, and that's where it's you can see by the notes. Here's another way to look at this. Just pick out the notes of the solo and write them out on your paper, and you'll suddenly see, hey, I've got the box. And once you've got the box, you can say, hey, this guy was playing in C major. What do you know? So that part's in C major, and you're like, cool. And if you play the rest of the solo from that point on in C major, you'll fuck it all up because now it changes keys, right? So right after that bit, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 notes in the key of C. Wait, was that 8 notes? That sounds more like it because, you know, 4 beats per measure is probably 8 notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I guess I was wrong. Anyways, so we start out on this next part here, And what's gone on? Well, when I relearned the solo, I saw that suddenly this note was played. It went G. Basically, it was like it was repeating the first part again, but it didn't. It went G, C, this note. And knowing that that note is not in the scale, I knew that that is the point where the guitar is basically catering to chord tones from a key or from a chord that is not in the key. So what chord was that? Well, we got C, E flat, G. Even though he played G, C, E flat, if we think about it like the same way he outlined the first chord by choosing the fifth first, we can see that this is basically C minor. So what happened was, right in the middle of a solo, a major chord became a minor chord. Kind of neat. Not many solos in rock play one part over a major chord and then take that exact same major chord and just turn it into a minor chord. There's probably a few, but not many that I know of. Not many from, say, like Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, Rush. Very great guitarists and solos in that music. But anyways, so we've got a sudden C minor, and you can see that that comes from this scale here. And why do I think it's this scale here? Well, check this out. The next part, after he outlines the C minor chord, he's outlined C minor, he goes, well, that's all from this scale. He went, na, 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 na. You see that? This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So where did that come from? Not only is he outlining a major chord and a minor chord, but the parent structure was changed from this to this. And in doing so, all it really did was move the square. The outlying pentatonic stayed the same. But you can see that this comes from a different key. Let's check it out. Let's give a little thought to what key that is. Well, this is always our root note, right? So what's that landing on? That's this note. That is D flat, right? Oh, I'm sorry, B flat, right? Because there's a B. Or you can think A sharp, right? A sharp. So where's the C minor chord in the key of A sharp? Well, it's the 2. We went from the 1 to the 5 there. We're not going to do the whole scale. But there's our C minor chord. It's the 1, 2. 2 is Dorian. So he went, the thing basically goes from C major to C Dorian. Right? Pretty neat. What you can figure out with the graph paper method, and what you can learn, and what we can pick up from this song to spice up our solos and our creations. So we've basically played every note. You know, you can almost even think of this as it's not a 12-tone row in any sense of the word, but it is using almost, it's using a lot of tones, but not all 12. Never mind. Okay. Stretching it out there. So let's play along with it. Now that we've gotten that far, we'll go back to the Bad Man. Bad Man. That starts. We'll go for 4/12 here. Here we go. Here we go. All right, way to go live on camera, messing up your solo. Let's play without the music so I'm not so nervous. There's our minor note and our run down that scale. Now, for the part number 3 of the solo before it repeats. And then there's one extra part to wrap it up at the end, which also happens to be over C minor Dorian, and then you're out of there back to the C major chord, which I believe is where it goes when it gets back into the main riff, or main part of the song. So let's hear that again. We've got, I'll shout out over the music. And again, here we go. C major, C minor. Okay, so now it did something else, and it did not go back to C major, but it sort of did. Let me show you what happened. It goes. Hold on. Let me play the whole song. What was all that? That's a little tricky, that part, but once you nail it down, you'll get it. There's a couple little weird circular repeating riffs there that are, once you get them all down, they sound like they're coming out of everywhere because the intervals are kind of, or the lines are kind of strange, the way they just go back and forth, but my foot's falling asleep, so my guitar's got to sit a little lower. The intervals change around, but it's in this Dorian scale. So what did we play? We played G, B, D. G, B, D. What's G, B, D? Hey, whoa. GBD outlines G major. Now, what's not in that chord is the flat seventh, which would be appropriate in the C major scale. G is the fifth chord, and the fifth chord is always a dominant seventh versus just a regular major seventh chord. A dominant seventh chord is basically a major chord with a flatted seventh. Hopefully you've heard that a million times, and it's starting to sink in for you. So we're not exactly outlining that seventh chord. However, I pick it up as G, and it's still in the C major scale, as evidenced by the riff right after. So we go G, B, D. And if you play a G over that part, it sounds great. Let's try it. I don't think I'm going to keep the distortion on here. So we're going to play a C major, a C minor, and then a G. Let's hear it. And G. All right. So yeah, so the G chord works great there, and we can pretty much see that. Oh, basically the music went to G, and he outlined the G. And so where do the notes come from? It's a whole bunch of 3-note downward motion melodies with basically right out of this D Dorian scale. It's G at that moment, so he's basically, you could think that it's insinuating Mixolydian, because G, the 5, when the 5 chord rings out, you're playing in Mixolydian. So, like, for example, this is our parent, to make this understandable to, like, real newbies, this C is our parent keynote, so since we're playing this chord here, this is the 5th. So C, D, E, F, G, or C, whoa, there's the camera, C, D, E, F, G, 5. It's a 5 chord. So, but we're still playing all the notes within that C major structure here. So you can pretty much translate that as the 5 chord is playing in C major Mixolydian. And let's write down that note here, A. So very slowly it's G, B, D, C, B, A twice, then D and C twice, E, D, C, then F, E, D twice, and you're back to the beginning. And the whole thing repeats again from there. The minor, back to major with G, D, C, D, C, E, D, C, F, E, D, F, E, D. Then right there is the final part in minor, which basically just simply falls back into this pattern. I've got clean away, but I'll be back someday. Just the combinations will have changed. Alright, so, yeah. I'm going to check out, let me slide over here for you folks and see if anyone is on saying hello. We've got 0 watching because 0 people care. What the hell? No, just kidding. I never worry about that. A lot of people are busy and might catch this at a later time. It's cool when people catch your live videos, but at 700 subscribers, it's only a chance of 700 people being online at the same time as you. I'm pretty happy for 700 subscribers. It didn't give me, the weird thing is it didn't tell me the name of my new subscriber. It usually says, hey, so-and-so subscribe to your channel, but the thing is, in the last few days, I saw the subscription go from 702 down to 699, so I lost 3 subscribers. So see you guys later. Sorry, it didn't work out, but I do not upload to my channel like I should, like my YouTuber that's really trying to grow his channel. So I guess I don't blame anybody for getting bored and taking off or finding a channel that suits their fancy better. But anyways, I appreciate that. I think it's kind of cool that will gain some subscribers. So thank you, whoever you are out there. Thank you to all my 700 subscribers. So that being said, what can I say about the last part? Let's play it. Let's play along with it. What have we gone through so far? We've gotten through... Come on. Now, has this still got the wrong title? I wonder. Let's get the heck out of that one. Bam. And yeah. Okay, I'm just fooling around with my YouTube screen here, so my apologies, and please bear with me here as we get back to 4:14. Okay, here we go. If you want to get right to the solo in the song, it's about right at 4:20. Hey, what do you know? 4:20 solo. Here we go. C major. Minor. Repeat. Minor. G major. Dorian. Hard to say what you're doing while you're trying to play the solo that you just learned a few minutes ago. So, that part there, then, we heard that after the solo repeats itself and does the same thing again, the C major, the C minor, the G, and the little riffs in the the C major pattern there. It goes into the C minor again, and it goes something like right after it goes. You have to be ready right after you do that second. You have to get into this minor part here. You just think about this scale again, and you go. shortens it up a little bit right at the final bit and ends up on the C note, which is probably where the chord goes again to C major. So once again, for the very last bit, it's right after you play. Well, here, I guess I'm not sure where to start it, but we'll go right from the G major outline. Right after you play that second repeating F, E, D, you get into the minor part. Still starting with that same note, you just the F, but it's oh yeah, there's that note. So it's C, D, E flat, C, D, yeah, you play C, D, and what is that note? That is the A sharp D. So C, D, A sharp, D. And repeat. Start from C, C, D, E sharp. I'm not sure whatever happens at that very, very last lick. Something is cut out of the mix there, and you just skip a note and tie it all up. You'll figure it out as you get to that solo, but I'm going to cut it off here. I've been probably up around a half hour, I think. Let's check out the minutes and the time. And man, we got Rick Beato to watch. We got 12 Tone to watch. We got Jens Larson to watch. Sam Crack, Fix Some Cars, all that stuff. Are those channels you know? Let me know in the comments. If not, check them out. Always interesting channels. I feel like Fixing Cars. Sam Crack's always got some interesting videos. I have a channel about my car collection called The Red Spider, but it's pretty boring and I don't do much. And I'm going to change that name of that channel. And like I said in a previous video, I think we're even going to start like a guitar course channel where I start from the basics and maybe make it some studio edited videos, not long rambling live videos. Maybe this will be the live channel. But anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know if you have any questions about it. We can go over this again if I left something out or something confused you. But as you can see, it was pretty clearly C major, C minor, and G major. To C major. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new and learned how you don't have to stay in one key, especially if your music changes keys. You can, sometimes not have to do something very drastic with your fingering position. In this instance, you were able to keep the same framework and just go from there to there. And let me tell you this. Let's a little bit more information here we should leave with today. Notice that the key went from this note was the original key, and it went to this note as the parent key. It may have been, like we talked about, there were the modal sounds of each key happening. So, you might talk about this, even though it was the key of C, there was a bit in G mixolydian, but that's all within a key. Modes are within keys. Modes come from keys. Modes basically come from chords, the chords that are in the keys. So just if you know the chords and the keys, you'll know modes. See my other videos. We can't go there. Anyways, you got C to, what's this note again? That was A sharp. So, would we call that an A sharp key? Let's see, A sharp. No, because then the next note would be C, so that would be B flat. B flat, C. So that's the key of B flat. And so let's think about that. B flat to C. That is a whole step apart. Well, guess what happens when you switch keys a whole step apart? And here's a little secret, and I'm going to get into this in the next video, which I might go live right after this, talking about, because I found something really cool about switching keys. There's a lot of symmetry in switching keys. Well, let me get on camera here. When you are, when you go down, whether you go down a whole step or up a half step, you have a key that shares 5 notes. This will always share 5 notes. If this is the root note, this will share 5 notes. So, like, for example, let's say this was a D, and we went up to the E, or we went down to the C, C, D, E. The key of C shares 5 notes with the key of D. The key of E shares 5 notes with the key of D. Did you know that? Well, now you do. There's a whole pattern here, which is really easy to know if you write it out. Oh, once again, I'm off the screen. But that's not for this video, and I'm still thinking about putting that behind a Patreon wall. Although I've revealed it in live lessons, you wouldn't want to try to watch 8 hours of video to unbury that, so it still might be valuable for me to have behind a Patreon wall, so I can get some people to subscribe to me on Patreon. Like, remember to support me on Patreon, right? Patreon. Yeah, get that in your head. That maybe I gotta get Streamlabs going so I can get some super chat donations possible, or like a tip jar, because I think that's where my value might be at here, is just someone catching me live and throwing me a tip. Because I'm helping you out, right? And I'm worth $1. I'm worth $1. Am I worth $1? $1. Look at me, $1. I'm $1. Please, $1. So you have this key that shares 5 notes. So when a key shares 5 notes, think about a pentatonic scale. How many notes in a pentatonic scale? 5 notes. So the keys that share 5 notes share a pentatonic scale. Ding, 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 ding. It's not a super drastic change. So not well, it's probably a reasonable chord change. I bet that's in a lot of songs. But it's like a half step up. It's like a lot of pop songs at the end will, I think, like, there's a Britney Spears song that's like really well known that just basically, it's very common at the end of pop songs that when they want to like raise the power of the song, they just go up a whole step with the melody and everything else. The whole song just moves up a half step. Well, that shared 5 notes, and that's why that works so well. Anywho, and that's how to get through that that chord change, by playing on those 5 notes while the chords change, and then you can be on the new gut notes in the middle bars of that chord change. But that's not exactly what happened here. Here it was just more kind of it was pretty quick, so it just had time to nail some chord tones, play a little riff around in that scale, and then it was time for the other chords. But all the chords started on notes that they shared within the pentatonic scale. The G and the C both shared notes between both of those keys, B flat and C. Kind of cool. Hey, so in B flat, what is the G in B flat? Never mind. I don't know. What is the G in B flat? Let's find out. The 6 minor. Okay. My friends, it's been real. I appreciate everyone who is going to probably watch this video coming up. I don't believe there's anyone to say goodbye to in the chat screen. So, hey, everybody, have a great day. Thank you for watching Robbery, Assault, and Battery. Hopefully you can master the solo after this lesson. Let me know in the comments if it helped. Let me know in the comments if it helped. Let me know in the comments if it helped. Because I need your feedback. I can't stress that enough. Feedback. So I can make them... and complain a little bit, so I can make some of them high-pitched complaint videos, like Spectre Sound Studio. If you ever watch that guy, he's pretty funny. think it's Spectre's Sound Studio. Is that the? Oh man, I don't even know. Oh yeah, Spectre. I don't know. Anyways, he's a long-haired guy that gives the he's a producer, and he gives those great takes on things drummers say and things guitarists say, and they're always pretty funny. Great guy. Everybody, have a good night. Enjoy yourselves. Love one another, and goodbye. Oh yeah, I always click the wrong thing, so I'm still here. And now it's goodbye, 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 and.